Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Santoro. Welcome to the lesson on factoring the sum or difference of two perfect cubes. This may be some of the more difficult or challenging factoring, but once we do a few and you find the pattern, everybody should be able to do this very well. So what's a perfect cube? It's a number that is an exact third power. So if we look here, 1 times itself 3 times is 1. 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64, and so on. So one of the things that you'll eventually need to be able to recognize is what a perfect cube is, or how to find out if a number is a perfect cube. So when we factor the sum or difference of two perfect cubes, we have a pattern that we use. You have to memorize it. It's not difficult. So what happens is when you factor the sum or difference of cubes, you get two factors. You get a binomial and then a trinomial. So whether it's the sum or the difference of perfect cubes, you'll always get a binomial and a trinomial. So let's see how to do this. So we have to develop the binomial factor, and how do you do that? So if we're given the expression x cubed plus 125, first you ask yourself, what term to the third power is x cubed? Well, the cube root of x cubed is x. That's how we start building the binomial. The sign here is plus, so we're going to drag that down into the binomial. And then what number to the third power is 125? That's 5. 5 cubed is 125. So if you take out your calculators, we can look. If you hit the math button, you'll see choice 4 is the cube root. So we can put in 125, and the calculator tells you the cube root of 125 is 5. That's helpful because if you encounter a value in one of the problems and you're not sure it's a perfect cube, you can put it into your calculator and find out. So now what we've done is we took the cube root of x cubed, and we have x. We dragged the plus sign, and we found out that the cube root of 125 is 5. So here's our binomial, x plus 5. We no longer need to look at our original expression, x cubed plus 125, because the whole rest of the factoring depends on the binomial. So we have the binomial factor, and if you follow along on your sheet, the first thing it says to do is you square the front. That means the first term of the binomial. So the first term is x, you square it, you have x squared. O, opposite sign. So if we have a plus sign here, it's going to be a minus in the trinomial. Front times back, which is the x and the 5. Forget about the sign. It's 5 times x is 5x. Always a plus, and square the back or square the last term. So it's this mnemonic called sophus. Square the first, opposite sign, front times back, always positive, square the last term. So then that's how we develop our two binomial factors. Two factors, the binomial and the trinomial. So keep that in front of you, and I have some practice problems here. So the first thing we have to do is find the binomial. So the cube root of x cubed is x. Drag the plus sign, and the cube root of 27 is 3. You can take your calculator out to double check those. So now we have x plus 3, and follow along with the sophus above. So if we have x plus 3, we're going to populate our trinomial, square the first term, opposite sign, front times back, 3 times x, always plus, square the last term. If you multiply this back, you'll get x cubed plus 27. So now let's look at the next example. 8x cubed plus 1. Well, the cube root of 8 is 2. X cubed, its cube root is x, and the cube root of 1 is 1. So the binomial that you should be building right now should be 2x plus 1. Now use that to construct the trinomial. Pause the video if you need to right now so you'll have a chance to work on that using the sophus up above, and then when you're ready, after you've done that, restart the video. So we see that our binomial was 2x plus 1. Square the first term. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. Opposite sign, that should be a minus sign in there. I'll correct that. Front times back, 2x times 1 is 2x. Always a plus sign. And square the last term. And there you go. Now let's look at the last example. X cubed minus 1. The binomial will be x minus 1. So if you want to pause the video right now to work on this on your own, please pause it and then come back when you're ready. So we start out with x minus 1, and it's square the first term, x squared, opposite sign, plus, front times back, 1 times x is x, always plus, square the last term, 1 squared is 1. So this is the lesson on factoring the sum or difference of perfect cubes. If you need to practice some more, practice these problems again, and in class we'll entertain any questions as well as do more practice problems. So thank you for watching the screencast, and I'll see everybody in school.